You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
And was this documentary evidence, this video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you in a skiff about.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You just listened to former U.S. intelligence official David Grush say under oath that the United States government is in possession of not only extraterrestrial spacecraft, but non-human biologics as well. Now, it's not the first time that he's made this claim, because in a viral News Nation interview uploaded on June 5th, he also alleged that the government has a secret UFO retrieval program and actually has quite a number of spacecraft from non-human species, and also says that they've recovered bodies of non-human pilots. But that's not all, because as Forbes reports, Grush stated that the vehicles were not necessarily extraterrestrial and speculated that they might come from another dimension, stating, as somebody who studied physics, where maybe they're coming from a different physical dimension as described in quantum mechanics. Grush hinted that some of the alien beings were malevolent and had even killed humans. Grush also implied that there is some kind of secret agreement between the government and aliens, and that people have been murdered to protect the secret. And he claims that he received this information from senior intelligence officials who confided in him about the program that he is blowing the whistle on, though he admits that he hasn't seen any photos, but he does have documents that confirm the existence of this program and the existence of the spacecraft of alien nature, allegedly. But he can't release this evidence to the public due to the classified nature of these claims, although he does confirm that we can trust him because, as he puts it,
I am for real. And I'm sitting here at great personal risk and obvious professional risk by talking to you today.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm convinced. And I think that we need to get the crew who stormed Area 51 in 2019 back together to further investigate this, because the government is not going to tell us, but what we do know is that if we Naruto run, we can move faster than their bullets. So let's see them aliens. But on a more serious note, listen, I want to believe. I desperately want to believe. I think that what he's saying is really interesting, and the idea that we've been visited by aliens and the government has formed some sort of alliance with them is very compelling. It's stuff out of sci-fi, and I love sci-fi. I love Star Wars. I love Mass Effect. So I'd love for this to be true. I'd love to think that it's happening. I want to believe, but unfortunately, I don't. One person telling us to trust him because other people told him it's true and that he should trust them is not a sufficient standard of evidence for such extreme claims. And blurry videos of UFOs are also insufficient evidence to confirm the existence of aliens. Sure, our government can't explain all visual phenomena that they see, neither can all of us, but sometimes, it's a balloon, sometimes it's other spacecraft, sometimes it's an airplane, but there are some instances where we can't describe what we're seeing because we just don't know. But not knowing what something is doesn't automatically mean that it's extraterrestrial, right? When I was a kid, sometimes I'd see a shadow in the bedroom in the corner, and I think that that's a ghost automatically. That is, until I worked up the courage to turn on the lights, and then I'd see that it's just some clothes on the floor that I forgot to pick up. Oftentimes, we come to an irrational conclusion automatically before we explore other explanations or even think about what it could possibly be besides what we initially assume it is, because that's what we want it to be. And most times there's a rational, admittedly boring explanation for a lot of the things that we're unable to explain. And author and conspiracy theory debunker Mick West poked a lot of holes in Grush's claims in a lengthy 45-minute long YouTube video that I'll link to down below. But here's what I think is the biggest red flag with Grush's claims, according to West.
I think the biggest problem with this, other than that these claims are outlandish and ridiculous and don't have any evidence behind them, the biggest problem with this is that these claims have been cleared by the government. This is something I mentioned on the program, but I think it's worth mentioning again in the context of what the claims actually are. There's a government body called DOPSR, the Department Office of Pre-Publication and Security Review. When you want to publish something like a TV interview or a book, and you are covered by classification, you have a security clearance, even if you've left the government, you have to go through DOPSR, and they have to look at this thing before it's published, this pre-publication, and do a security review. So they've got to look at it and they've got to see, does this reveal any classified information? And so they looked at everything he said. They looked at things and they said, oh yeah, okay, so he's claiming that the US government is killing people. He's claiming that aliens are killing people. He's claiming that there might be a secret agreement with aliens. He's claiming we have all these alien craft and we've been reverse engineering it, and we've been illegally giving this technology to industry. This is another thing he said. We've been illegally giving this technology to industry and allowing them to exploit it and then sell it back to the government and make loads of money. And this is going on. This is fine. This is all fine. This is not secret. This is not secret. DOPSR has cleared everything that he has said. So none of this stuff is secret. Which kind of begs the question, why has nobody mentioned this before? Why has no one mentioned the fact that aliens are killing people? Why has no one mentioned the fact that the US government has this secret program like selling alien technology to industry? Why isn't this actually being revealed? Why isn't it being discussed? Why hasn't anybody raised it in Congress? It's not secret. It's not classified, according to Dave Grush, because it's all being cleared by DOPSR. So the alternative, to this mystery is DOPSR actually just saying, oh, go ahead, it doesn't really matter. Yes, the US government kills people and has a secret agreement with murderous aliens. That's not a secret. Everybody knows that. The alternative to that ridiculous scenario is that what he's saying isn't actually true. What he's saying is, maybe not a lie from his perspective, but something he has been told that is false.
Very good point. And he goes on to make a lot of great points about how these claims, they just don't add up. And I'd highly encourage you to watch the entire video if you have time, because he goes on to debunk not only what Grush says, but debunk UFO videos as well. And it's really insightful. And that doesn't mean that what Grush is saying is incorrect, right? As West put it, he might actually believe what he's saying. But what we do know is that there isn't enough evidence to confirm that what he's saying is indeed true. Now, to be clear, I get the desire to want to believe in something bigger than yourself. When I was younger, I was really into astronomy, and I got into conspiracy theories surrounding UFOs and aliens. But the problem that I always had was that there was a fundamental lack of evidence. See, we have a lot of testimonies and fuzzy photos of unidentified flying objects, but nothing concrete to suggest that all the other explanations have been exhausted, therefore it must be aliens. We just don't have enough evidence to say aliens exist. And not only that they visited us, right? Those are very big logical leaps that you need a lot of evidence to make. But that's not to say that I don't believe in aliens at all. I mean, when you think about the sheer size of the universe and the thousands of planets that we've found just within the span of a couple of decades, statistically speaking, it's probably likely that life exists somewhere in the universe. I mean, it might even exist in the galaxy. Whether it's complex or single-celled organisms, we don't know. We can only speculate, right? And therein lies the problem. It's difficult as human beings to just accept that we may never know. There are countless questions that we will never have answered. It's not just about aliens. Like, why are we here? What is the meaning of life? How did the universe get started? Are there other universes? Are there other dimensions? There's so many theories that kind of try to explain, the world that we're living in, and as bizarre as it is. But the truth is, we'll never know. But we shouldn't feel inclined to diminish our standards for evidence in our quest for the truth, because if we do that, then it's really not the truth that we're looking for. It's just psychological gratification, right? And if you want the truth, you've got to have a high standard for what you accept as evidence. But we can find comfort in what we don't know. For example, Sir Arthur C. Clarke famously said, "Two possibilities exist. Either we are alone in the universe or we are not. Both are equally terrifying." And that quote really resonates with me, because on one hand, it's hard to conceptualize this idea that our massive, infinitely expanding universe is empty and we're all that exists in terms of life. But on the other hand, if life was out there, based on how much we've learned about the universe and how big it is, it does seem plausible that by now we would have found some evidence of aliens, right? Anything, but we haven't. And that's what we call the Fermi paradox. Live Science explains, the Fermi paradox is a problem that asks, where are all the aliens in the universe if life is so abundant? Why haven't we been visited by or heard from anyone else? According to NASA, in just the last 2 decades, we have found more than 4,000 planets beyond our solar system, with trillions of stars thought to exist in our galaxy, most of which host their own planets. Considering life sprang up on Earth, would we not have expected it to start in at least one other location in the last 14 billion years of the universe? Exactly. And it's possible that as good as our technology is, we just haven't been able to look far enough into the universe to see the life that does exist. We don't know. Now, the photo that you just saw was of Enrico Fermi, who is the physicist that devised the Fermi paradox. And I really hope that he's wrong, right? I want to live in a universe like Mass Effect, where at some point we can use mass relays to visit other alien planets and talk to other alien species. But I mean, for now, that is just science fiction, period. And I'm not going to latch onto one man's claims simply because it sounds cool. And he is supposedly somebody who we can trust because he is a former U.S. intelligence official. In fact, being a U.S. intelligence official leads me to be a little bit more skeptical given the fact that this community has led us into wars in the past. But I mean, what I'm saying is we need more than that. We need more than this dude saying, trust me, bro, it's totally true. I heard it from a bunch of people who probably heard it from other people. I mean, if Grush claims people have literally been murdered to keep this secret, but yet he can't release the documents due to their classified nature, then we have to assume that he's brave enough to risk being murdered by exposing the secret, but not brave enough to risk prison time by releasing the documents that he supposedly has. So, I mean, my ultimate conclusion is we need pics, bro, or it didn't happen. But let me just end by saying that of all the conspiracy theories, the UFO ones, this is probably one of the least harmful conspiracy theories to believe, because unlike anti-vaccine conspiracy theories, you're not going to die if you believe in something like this. It's fun, it's compelling, you know, it's sci-fi related, which is really interesting. Having said that, though, there is a concern in the sense that if you lower your standard for what you accept as evidence for this one particular conspiracy theory, and if you believe what Grush says about this, even if it's not harmful, perhaps you're more inclined to lower your standard of evidence for other conspiracy theories, right? And this is kind of how it starts. Accepting one conspiracy theory kind of leads you down the rabbit hole to accepting other conspiracy theories. So what you need to do is make sure that you have a very high standard for what you accept as evidence and be skeptical of everything that you see, right? Ask questions, even of people who are trustworthy. Ask questions of me. Question what I'm saying. Fact check what I'm saying. Because when it comes to the truth, that is important. An objective, empirical reality exists, and you shouldn't muddy the waters just because you want to believe in aliens. I want to believe that aliens are real and they visited us, and, you know, they have this secret pact with the government. I think that would be really, really cool. But the fact is, there's just not enough evidence to confirm that what Grush is saying is true. So unless he gives us additional evidence, then we have to deduce that it hasn't happened.
Like everywhere there's glows. Mama. You see them all the time. I mean, it's constant. Mama. My children will be like, Mama, glow, 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 glow. I turn on TV, there's glows in the background. Every TV show, news media, why? Glow, 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 glow. They're everywhere. Glow, 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 glow.